I know Tuff Hedeman was mad because I'm an Okie and he loves to beat up on Okies. He says Okies. His thought on Okies is they'll steal your shit and then help you look for it. That's what.
Hey, hit that subscribe button now. You're going to like it. Welcome to the Luke Branquinho Show. If you have enjoyed the national finals for the last century or so, you'd enjoy my next guest. Jeff Metters has been the voice, and I've had a pleasure of working with him. Jeff, thanks for joining us. So, Jeff, 91, you became the host of the Wrangler National Finals. That's been quite a few years of hosting this huge event.
It has been, and I fooled them for a long time, so who knew they'd be able to still be doing it in 2023, but I guess I haven't gotten there yet, through 2022. It's weird because they just kind of, ESPN in the early days of 90, they had a map. It just kind of went sideways. In those days it was like Australian rules football. It's nothing like it is today, and Jim Sharp's taking his rap. He's about to win a world championship. They hit the top of the hour, and boom, they went on to, whatever else, and so at that point in time, Wintercom was a company in Tulsa who was doing some horse racing and some AQHA stuff. And so the PRCA came to them and said, hey, can you do it? And, originally I was supposed to be, I hosted with Butch during the regular season. We did 10 rodeos a year on that Wrangler World of Rodeo. And at the NFR, I was supposed to be the sideline guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was. A guy named Chris Lincoln, who was kind of the premier talent at Wintercom, was going to come in and host with Butch. And Butch and I had gelled so well by the time we got done with season 1 in 91. They're like, "No, we don't want to break you guys up." So that was originally I wasn't even supposed to be doing the NFR. I was supposed to be just like the sideline reporter. So. So you hosted those rodeos. Was that your first time hosting rodeo that year then? Yeah, it was. Yeah, but it was kind of a weird deal because Wintercom was a cool company. They started just syndicating horse racing stuff. Like American, like the Rainbow and the All-American Futurity, and at one point in time, man, Luke, true story, they were so bad in debt, they had frozen horse semen in their refrigerators as collateral, and they grew to be the largest program packager for ESPN. They did Major League Soccer, thoroughbred racing, they did all the ESPN classic stuff. They became huge, but they just right there in Tulsa. And I was a sportscaster at the NBC station, and they knew I grew up on a ranch and was a cowboy and stuff. So I started doing AQHA stuff, America's Horse. And I'd love to do rodeo because, I went to the NFR when I was a kid in Oklahoma City every year. So I watched those old Heston shows, and Slim McSpadden and those guys. And
oh yeah,
it was a thrill to host it.
And then would that say transitioned you into building Geronimo? Your production company, which I don't know that a lot of people don't realize that, but you host NFR, but your production company produced it as well. Yeah, we for almost 7 or 8 years we produced it. Yeah, I worked for Wintercom and I saw what they did, and sometimes I don't work and play well with others, so it gets to the point where I only like to work for my wife. I'm okay with it. And even then we butt heads now and then, but I saw what they did, and I was like, I think I can start a production company. And I don't want to be the largest program packager for ESPN. I just wanted 3, 4, 5 clients. And obviously my biggest goal was to get off the plane in Las Vegas and have a company doing the NFR. So loved that. I loved that side of it. Well, was it a private plane? Did you get off a private plane when you got off the plane? I got out of a private Sprinter actually, because I would drive gear from Tulsa to Las Vegas every year. So and it was fantastic. It was therapeutic. Like through New Mexico and parts of Arizona, my phone got no service whatsoever. Right. Nobody could call me and nobody could bother me. And Diana would be so mad at me. Why are you driving out there every year? I was like, because it's like therapy. So yeah, I got my own private Sprinter in Las Vegas. So. And then on the way home, you didn't have to hear from anybody either. No, I flew home. No, let's not get crazy. Well, now from Wintercom to Geronimo, obviously still hosting now. And correct me if I'm wrong, CEO of the Cowboy channel. Yeah, so it's a whole different era now. It's kind of crazy. And all that through, the 30 years of hosting,
I never thought we'd have our own Cowboy type ESPN, and so Patrick's dream was even more than I could fathom. So, what a great deal to have a network that's just dedicated to Cowboys and Western lifestyle and everything like that. So it's been fun to be a part of that.
Well, yeah, and to have the fans have an opportunity at such a great network of Western sports, which 10, 15 years ago, you'd see rodeo every so often, but now you could see it every day, every night. I mean, it's all dedicated to Western sports, and obviously now they started the Cowgirls channel, so another opportunity for more. And I guess I wouldn't even know what you'd put on there because you have the Cowboy channel with all that content, but just more opportunity for, and hopefully not just fans of rodeo, but fans outside of the rodeo.
Yeah, it's crazy. The last 2 years on CPS Sports Network, I think in 18 we did 8 rodeos, and in 19 we did 7. So there are like 15 total rodeos on television, and for 2 years there. And then in 2020, I think 150 million people watched rodeo on the Cowboy channel. So, you can look at that you've been on the other side there where you're, where you're talking to sponsors and trying to find different ways to make a living in what you're doing. And I think the opportunities for a rodeo cowboy have never been better in terms of sponsorship. Just to be able to say, hey, I'm getting all this exposure for you and I'm on all the time. So, it's created opportunity, I think, for the rodeo cowboy, and obviously great fun for the rodeo fans.
Well, it's funny you mentioned opportunity for rodeo cowboy, because I've heard you guys saying, hey, let's go talk to somebody, let's do an interview. And it's got to the point where like, well, how much are you going to pay me for this interview? So, for them to be thinking that way, I could kind of see the benefits of getting paid to do the interview, but they got to also realize if they're on your channel, they're going to be able to have more firepower to go to sponsors and say, hey, here's what I've done, here's what I'm doing, here's my exposure. So I need you guys to up the ante a little bit on my sponsorship.
Yeah, and we've had that. Hey, how much are you going to pay me to come do it? And my response is pretty simple. It's I'm getting you exposure you've never had before. And you're getting paid whatever deal you made for those patches on your shirt. Now you're grossly underpaid for it. So I'm paying you in a way, but the other side of it is I'll go build somebody else's brand. There's another younger generation coming up, and if it's too much of a burden for you to do an interview and build your brand, we can find somebody else, because it's not like there's only one LeBron. There's all kinds of athletes out there. I think they've grasped that now, and they're grateful for the opportunity, and they realize there's money to be made there, not necessarily from the Cowboy channel, but definitely from the sponsors and that patch program.
Well, another thing too, I think that has helped is getting these cowboys and cowgirls comfortable in front of the camera, learning how to speak and talk. And for me, it's how you represent the Western way of life. And I wasn't great at it until, I got picked up by the U.S. Army, and we had to do media training, and that was early 2000s. But it's giving these contestants an opportunity to learn how to speak and talk to people, which only helps them talk to sponsors and try to sell their self even better.
Yeah, for forever you probably did, maybe a radio guy and, in Hermiston, Oregon, or a little bit something here and there. But now it's like nonstop, and we've seen some funny stuff. I've seen some interesting interviews from rodeo. It's like, I don't think very many of them were theater majors in college, but that's good. You went through the whole phase there where the Wrights thanked every sponsor before they answered the question. I'm not sure that's the best media training, but it's like everybody now has kind of raised their game and the opportunities there. And there's bigger personalities than others, but it's the Rodeo Cowboy group is pretty funny, and I'm not sure you can throw out enough media training in there to keep them from going down the rabbit hole. But yeah, it's they're authentic, and you got to love that.
Well, it's giving them an opportunity, that's for sure. With social media now, and hell, you could pick your phone up. As well as anybody, when you first started, you probably had a camera that was this big on shoulder. Now you could do an interview on a cell phone, and again, just more exposure, more opportunity for these contestants to learn how to speak. And you could edit it now easier with your cell phone than a big camera, I'd imagine.
I wish I was better at social media. I mean, I think there's a lot of money to be made there too. But I think Lindsay probably. I'm sure those are her ideas and not yours, because I don't think you're that creative.
I'm definitely not. In fact, she signed me up on my Instagram reels, and I made $152 this month from Instagram.
That is awesome. You are on your way. But I love people like that are really media savvy and get things rolling. And and you guys do great stuff. She does great stuff. So
yeah, you say you guys. I know we all know what you mean. She does amazing stuff, and it goes in. Well, you said it. Anywhere from chickens to donkeys to the kids. I mean, you have to. It's almost a special talent.
It is. And I don't have it. So I kind of marvel at that whole, that whole next gen that's coming. And unfortunately I'm in that old dogs, new tricks category. Maybe I don't. I enjoy watching like your stuff and everybody's stuff on social media. I just don't go to the effort of putting anything out there myself.
Well, it's tough, and I've told Lindsay, I said, for this show, I really need to help boost my own personal social. So when I post the show stuff, it helps build that brand as well. And I told her, I said, hey, I need to get some good stuff put up because we got an episode of Haley Kinsel coming out, and I really need. She's like, well, okay. I'm like, well, when I say I really mean you need to post some really good stuff. So I'm trending at that time. So when I post the Haley stuff, it explodes on the show side. But yeah, and I had no idea, but how you caption things, how you hashtag things, when you post things. I mean, all this stuff is so important that this younger generation is really savvy on.
If you'll take 50 of that 152 that you made and give it to Lindsay, that will help you.
I think I'd have to give her the whole 150 plus another 350, and that's, what are we at, about 600 or 500? Yeah, it's about a $500 a day deal for her.
How many followers does she have now? Like in social
I
media?
Still have more followers than her. I think she's
really
50-some thousand. Yeah.
Wow.
But if you look at she's gaining on me very fast. But she's a lot better looking than me too, so that obviously helps. Graduated. I'm reading all your stuff that I know a lot about you, but 1995 graduated from Oklahoma University.
No, Oklahoma. I don't want to be associated in any way with the Sooners. No, not a chance.
Oh, that's right. You're a Cowboys, right? I had, I don't know, I'm sure you're a baseball fan, Robin Ventura.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So his dad, John, was my Little League baseball coach. And yes, and John's, I mean, he's on, which I don't know if you go to Santa Maria. I know you guys cover it. He's in Elks, and he helps do a lot of stuff around there. But John is an amazing man, and I started following Robin's career through college, and then obviously when he was with the White Sox forever. That's when I first learned about Oklahoma baseball and a lot about the rivalries between the two schools.
Yeah, and he was there. Like, I graduated in '85, and then Robin went on a tear, shortly after that, because I was a sportscaster in Channel 2 when he was setting NCAA records, and Robin Ventura and Pete Incaviglia, and those guys were really good. They won everything but a national championship, unfortunately. But yeah, a great player, and obviously will forever be known along with Nolan Ryan, unfortunately for him. But I know he hates that. You have an amazing baseball career, but I think all anybody wants to ask him about is fighting Nolan Ryan, and who wants to? It's like running into a freight train. But I think he was backed into the corner. So yeah, but yeah, OSU. I'm really passionate about state for you. And I tolerated Oklahoma and Texas, until they kind of conspired to collapse the Big 12. And now I celebrate their misery whenever things go bad. And I've been telling all my Sooner fans, congratulations, you're gonna have your first year in the SEC. You're gonna have 6 homecoming, 1 at home, and then you're gonna be 5 other teams homecoming because they're gonna kick the crap out of you. And then it's gonna be an easy win.
Talking about success with Robin and not winning that national championship, but I mean the career he had with the White Sox, like you said, was freaking amazing. And I watched the Nolan Ryan documentary on the airplane somewhere, and apparently he just happened to be the guy that was at bat when all this happened. I mean, it could have been the guy before him. It just happened to be him. Man, that was a tough one right there for him.
You just, it's like Cowboys in a bar fight. You don't have any choice. You just had to charge the mound, and that's, poor Robin. But yeah, they've got all kinds of pictures of the deed. But yeah,
I don't think he landed a punch either.
No, I don't think so either. And
No.
I think Nolan's one of those guys. I used to tell my son when I was growing up, if you ever hit me and I find out about it, I'll kill you. Nolan was the same kind of way. If you ever hit me and I find out about it.
Good times growing up watching that. 2016 Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. Obviously, what you've done for the sport and for the industry. I mean, what kind of honor? How did that had to mean so much?
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed being a part of that. And I still help those guys with their banquet. It's a great group. It's a fun group because it's a lot of, obviously it's like the, kind of the obvious big names, but a lot of the other guys that, just were good rodeo cowboys that maybe didn't rodeo as hard as anybody else, or, great secretaries, people behind them.
Right.
Always have fun talking to them and going to I MC their banquet every year for them and thoroughly enjoy that. Just a great group. And I know Tuff Hedeman was mad because, I mean, I'm an Okie and he loves to beat up on Okies. He says Okies, his thought on Okies, they'll steal your shit and then help you look for it. So
I've heard him say that. That's right.
So when they put me in, I was like, just put me next to Tuff. I just want to be next to Tuff. I think Tuff wanted me to be put in the men's room.
Oh, Tuff. Yeah, and you and Tuff have some history. I mean, you guys been around kind of right when he was starting to excel in his career, and obviously you and yours. And I mean, you guys have some pretty good history, don't you?
Yeah, we do. He's I've known him a long time, and I love to tell a story. I was in my first TV job was Midland, Odessa, and it was January of 1986, and the guy that I worked for said, "Hey, go to the rodeo. The next big thing in bull riding is going to be there." So I went out there and interviewed Tuff, and during the 90s, we got to be really good friends. He would, I could rodeo cowboys, right? You got a hotel room? I'd be like, absolutely. So he'd be like, okay. So what that meant was he would give me all of his crap, and then I would get done with the rodeo, and I'd go to bed. About the time I was getting up to leave,
he's coming in.
Plane, that's when Tuff was coming in. But yeah, I had a chance to watch him and do everything that he's done, and from PRCA World Championships to his event, the PBR, and helping him get that to what it is today. And look, I say that all the time. I can make a case that he is still the best known cowboy in the world. But all of my kids, when they were growing up, I could always tell when they were watching 8 Seconds, they'd call me, "Hey, what was Lane Frostlight?" I'd be like, I never met Lane. I mean, when I came in, he'd already lost his life. But then, and then I'd be like, and Tuff Hedeman's a lot grumpier than he is in that. Yeah, and I don't think Cody Lambert knows any poems. There's a Time Murray joke about that, but I won't go into that. But yeah,
funny enough, so we spent a lot of time at Lambert's when I was still rodeoing, and again, I was a kid watching Lane Frost, or watching 8 Seconds, and I thought, man, that's cool, talking to Cody about the movie, and like, so where's your book of poems? And he just gave me that look like you're an idiot. And I was like, I never wrote a poem one while we were traveling together. So obviously cinemagic right there.
And why, I don't understand that, do you? Why Hollywood comes in and they don't really grasp, and you look at Taylor Sheridan, and Taylor gives just enough authenticity that we like it, and Hollywood it appeals to everybody else, with Yellowstone and some things down that line. And you don't have to do Housewives of Decatur. There's enough drama and character and personality in the Western world, and the authenticity is what makes it so great. No other country has the rodeo, the cowboy, so why would you want to, and obviously there's cowboy poets, but Cody Lambert's not one of them.
Definitely not one of them. And he said they got to go on set and kind of help say, no, this isn't right. This is not how it went down. This is not authentic. This isn't. And he said the producers there were just turn their hearing aids down or off, or whatever, when they were talking. But back to Taylor, you're exactly right. Watching, and I haven't watched all of Yellowstone. I did watch all of 1883. I'm in 19, I can't remember what it is. But anyway, the one with Harrison Ford and Helen. That to me is, all of them are amazing. But like you said, it's authentic. You could say, okay, I could see this, being a cowboy, being a farmer, being a rancher, I could see this all happening. Where some of that other stuff, this is all a bunch of bullshit. Not true, doesn't happen. So Taylor is doing a great job on that front for the Western industry.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, we've seen some tidal waves. I've been around for a few of them, from Urban Cowboy to 8 Seconds, but you know what he's doing with Yellowstone and 1883, and is it 1923 or 24? I thought 1883 was wonderful. My wife's like, that's better than Lonesome Dove, and I was like, let's not get carried away. But I'm with you. I'm really one with Helen Mirren and Harrison Ford, and that's been fun. And I was talking to Taylor, and at one time he was shooting on like 4 different continents. His budgets are bigger than what I get at the Cowboy Channel, I can tell you.
We have, bigger than the Luke Branquinho show budget too, because if not, we'd be in our own studio.
I can't shoot in 4 different counties.
I think you're gonna feel very disappointed in me by me saying this. I have never watched Lonesome Dove.
Oh my gosh. Really?
No, never. The greatest Western of all times, Jeff, and I know you'll disagree, to me personally, is Blazing Saddles.
I like the memes that come out now. Blazing Saddles was made today. It's like the opening title and then the end.
The end. I seen a deal that said CBS is airing Blazing Saddles. The edited version starts at 8 o'clock and ends at 8:02.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Blazing Saddles is classic. I would read the book. It's funny with like Lonesome Dove. And all the great lines that you see in the miniseries all came from Larry McMurtry in the book. When I watched Lonesome Dove first, and I liked Gus the best. And then when I read the book, I liked Woodrow the best. But yeah, it's not something you just do in the evening. You know,
no.
I mean, it goes on for a while. But Lonesome Dove it's still the pinnacle for me. I like Tombstone.
Yeah.
I like Blazing Saddles. But yeah, I watched Dead for $1. It's on like Showtime. Horrible. Oh my gosh. I would have let you kill me for $1 to just not make me watch that movie. So it's got like Willem Dafoe. It's got a good cast in it, but I mean, it was terrible. So, you know, I think a lot of people are trying to ride that Taylor wave.
Right.
They're just getting projects greenlit, and they're very good.
So in a way, that could help hinder the Western way of life if they keep doing that. I mean, hopefully not. Hopefully it keeps rolling. But speaking of rolling, your Bullseye series, I can remember, this has been a few years ago, you started this project and had some great stuff. How's it going now?
It's good. I need to come see you. I need to come out and hang out with you and spend a day or two with you at the ranch and shoot one with you. When are you available?
May 7th.
Okay. Just right after the ride, right there.
That's during it, isn't it?
Oh yeah, maybe. I got the inspiration for Bullseye kind of came from David Faraday on the Golf Channel. You know, Faraday is so funny and so good, and you know, you watched him because he played in a Ryder Cup or 2. You know, he's a European player and never really, you know, reached the pinnacle, but you know, and then became a commentator with NBC, and you know, he knows all those guys, has personal, you know, and the goal there is just to show up and just have a nice personal conversation, you know, with the people involved in, or you know, the bigger names of rodeo. We're getting ready to finish up season 2, you know, but I did Rump, so you know, Justin Rumford's so much fun, and Wade Sundell, and then Cody Old Part 2 is getting ready to air, you know, and Dusty Tuckness, who's, you know, one of the toughest guys on the planet. But yeah, in season 1 we did Tough Hedeman, we did Trevor Brazil. I've got to get over to Oaklawn because I'm doing one with Dwayne Lucas. I don't think a lot of people realize, you know, the caliber of cowboy that Dwayne is. And I did thoroughbred racing for about 7 years on ESPN, and I always marveled at Wayne, you know, because you go show up there before dawn, you know, to watch those horses work on the track, and he was a towering figure on horseback, cowboy hat, you know, and he was really mean to the media. You know, everybody was scared of him. And I did quarter horse racing. I did America's Horse, and I was so tied to AQHA. And like the first time I saw him when I was doing thoroughbred racing, he's like, quarter horse guy, you know, and he like put his arm around me, and he treated me like gold, you know, and it's just because of the cowboy hat and the cowboy culture came from, you know, and he's one of my all-time favorite people that I've met, and he's just an icon.
Well, yeah, we there in the valley, obviously he used to have the ranch there. We used to drive by it all the time, going up to Janeway when we used to run cattle on there, and I could remember hearing stories of how amazing of a trainer, man, I mean, everything he was. and for you to be able to know him personally and experience that is pretty cool.
It's very. You can drive through right now. You can drive through Oaklawn, or when he moves to Churchill, you can drive through, and you don't even have to see his logo out there. You know that's Lucas's barn because it's like Augusta National. It's manicured. Everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. He's such a perfectionist. A couple of years I had to do the barn, like we on ESPN we did like all the undercard leading up to when like here NBC would do the show. So we would do like 6 or 7 races that afternoon. I got stuck doing the barn. Let me tell you something. There's nothing going on in the barn area about mid-afternoon on dirt. Everybody's freaking. They're on the other side. I'm trying to manufacture stories. You know, I'm searching for anybody to talk to, and I'm walking by, and Wayne Lucas is sitting in his shed row, and the producer that's with me goes, don't. I was like, no, he'll talk to me, and he's like, hey, Jeff, and it's the greatest interview that I've ever done that never made air.
Never made air.
Never made it. Well, we got half of it did, and the microwave went down. We were using the microwave thing where you shot the microwave back because we had talked about it just for the interview, and he was about to say, you know, of all the horses I've ever had in the Derby, maybe the one I've underestimated the most was Charismatic, who wasn't even the top 5 picks in the Derby, and Charismatic went on to win the Derby that day.
Oh, geez.
So yeah, it's the greatest interview I did that didn't make air. So you could streak through the back the barn area of Churchill about mid-afternoon on Derby day, and nobody would see you.
Well, I'm hoping this year I get to do something like that.
Trying to go out there. That's welcome to the chaos.
Well, I'm trying. I promised my wife last year. I had it all set up, had it all planned. We were going to the Derby, and then obviously the Rancheros Vistadores ride, which you were a member of. Are you a member yet? Or are you still?
I will be going. No age jokes. I'm going senior active, so yeah, I get a horseshoe this year. So. Oh
well, congratulations! That's awesome. I get my first round badge, or I guess I get my not Maverick round badge, but you can see that Maverick 2020 class, best class ever of the Ranchero Vistadores ride. I think they actually wrote that in the history books.
I can't wait for you to bring me a drink when we're on the ride.
Well, Jeff, I honestly appreciate you coming on. The fans, I think, are going to love the insight and everything that you've experienced and that we've got to share with them. And again, I can't say enough how much I've learned from you, how it's been an honor to work with you, and hopefully keep continuing to be able to work together.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm your biggest fan, so you bring so much to a show. You add so much to it. You know, it's just I keep kind of maybe sometimes taking a world championship away from you.
I didn't want to bring that up, but since you did.
That's my favorite Luke story, though, was I think I gave you a 4-time. You're like texting me, I'm a 5-time. And then you retired. Then I had to unretire you.
Oh, yeah.
Call me you're like, what are you doing to me? You know, and I said, I'm getting ready to go on the air again. I'm going to do your obituary. I'm going to tell people you died because I've retired you, I've unretired you, and now we have sad news. Rodeo was lost. Luke Branquinho today.
Right. Yeah, that was, I totally forgot about the unretiring and unretiring. But anyway, we'll work on the obituary hopefully a lot further down the line. But appreciate you coming on, Jeff. And again, looking forward to working with you again.
Yeah, me too. Call anytime.
Will do. Thanks. I forgot about the Vegas flake too.
I wasn't bringing that up. I was not bringing that up.